Dr. Banner! Bruce, you did it!
10 ultraviolet Hulk animated moments where he unleashed his Berserker rage. One word to describe this green guy here, that would have to be badass.
Here I am.
Well, what else are you supposed to call someone who has superhuman strength, unlimited stamina, has the ability to heal instantly from literally any damage, and only tends to become stronger when his rage starts to build?
More of a monster than me!
You know when it's Hulk. Let's get one thing straight right away. This green Goliath here is capable of inflicting unthinkable damage. For instance, his signature style smashing and clapping can send tremors easily covering a 3-mile radius. No wonder he has always addressed himself as the strongest. Now, speaking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we know it is filled with the mightiest of heroes, but you do know that there was a time when Hulk was regarded as the strongest of all the Avengers. Guess it is safe to say that Hulk has indulged himself in a fair share of the most epic and violent combats, ones where enemies have been complete toasts. Well, without any further delay, let's get down to today's video, where we have an interesting compilation of 10 ultra-violent Hulk animated moments where the superhero has unleashed his Berserker rage. Addressing every Hulk fan out there, we were absolutely psyched about this one. You better be ready. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Hulk cannot control his rage and destroyed half of the Avengers. Ultimate Avengers 2006. Kurt Gedda, Stephen E. Gordon, and Bob Richardson's animated flick not only is the first movie in the Marvel animated features, but also happens to be a loose adaptation of the Marvel comic, The Ultimates. While fighting against the Nazis back in 1945, Captain America is successful in preventing a missile launch but gets knocked out and falls into the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. While the world believes him to be dead, his body is eventually recovered 60 years later by S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury. The director, on the other hand, wishes to recreate the serum in Captain America's blood in the hopes of creating more super soldiers. He has already hired Bruce Banner and made him the head of the new super soldier program.
You'll note that we have 12 super soldier candidates for whom we're developing 12 different serums. It's unique for every person.
However, post-discovering that the world is in great danger because of the same race of shape-shifting aliens that had backed the Nazis, Nick has no other choice but to initiate Project Avenger. Now, before we dive into the ultra-violent Hulk part, it's important for you to know a bit about the background. With Banner heading the super soldier program of S.H.I.E.L.D. and working on a super soldier serum, he was hell-bent on finding a way to control his Hulk persona. Of course, the discovery of Captain America thrilled him to the core, and he started examining his blood very closely, only to end up mixing his gamma-mutated DNA with Captain America's super soldier serum, thus transforming himself into a bigger, stronger, gray-hued Hulk. With the battle intensifying between the Avengers and the alien race, Hulk goes rogue. Post-slaughtering the aliens, he starts attacking the Avengers. He flings away Captain America first, and grabs Iron Man by his legs to knock away Black Widow and Fury. Next, he throws Iron Man over the side into some car nearby, causing the car to explode. Giant Man tries to step on Hulk, but the latter lands on his knee and punches him there, making him fall down. Grabbing a huge stone, he hurls it at Giant Man's head, knocking him down. With Wasp attempting to attack him, Hulk ends up clapping his hands and makes her land unconscious next to her husband. This is followed by a very heated up battle between Thor and Hulk, and there comes a time when the Hulk is actually able to lift up the Thunder God's Mjolnir, much to the latter's shock, and literally goes to the extent of hitting Thor with his own hammer. He would have been successful had Captain America not intervened in the situation. It goes without saying that Hulk successfully manages to surprise every Avenger with his rage. Oh, and don't be surprised when we tell you that he does not even stop at choking Giant Man. Well, after Black Widow is somehow able to jump on Hulk's back and tranquilize him, Hulk tries attacking her too. Thank God for Betty, who interrupts and calms him down, and we finally get to see Hulk collapse and transform back to Banner. Indeed, a relief. Hulk shows his true power. Avengers Assemble 2013. Developed by Marvel Animation and Man of Action Entertainment, this animated television series had on display the world's most powerful team of superheroes, putting aside their share of differences and learning to live together and function as a unit. Also with Red Skull and MODOK ganging up together and forming the Cabal. It is up to the Avengers to save the world from the ultimate destruction. Now speaking of Hulk showing his true power, special emphasis has to be put on the 9th episode of the first season titled Depth Charge. Directed by Jeff Allen and written by Man of Action, along with Jay Farber, the episode has Attuma arriving in a tidal wave with his army of Atlanteans to conquer the surface world, and in this case, sink Manhattan. Well, the Atlantean nomadic warlord is almost successful in his mission, having had strange Atlantean devices destabilize the bedrocks beneath Manhattan. This can only mean one thing: the whole island is about to slide into the ocean. Now with someone like Hulk, who only follows his rage, he ends up attacking Attuma and engages in a battle only to have the latter break the energy barrier that Iron Man and Falcon had created to hold back the tidal wave.
You're all right.
Hulk, what are you doing?
With less than 4 minutes for Manhattan to sink, Hulk ends up being the giant green guardian and literally holds up the entire island. With the water level decreasing, Iron Man retreats into the ocean to figure, and that's when he finds the Incredible Hulk doing the impossible. This way, Hulk buys time for the rest of the Avengers to fight Attuma. Iron Man goes back to inform what he has seen the Hulk do, and also gets Thor to aid him. Now with the three of them holding up the island, Attuma attacks Iron Man as well as Thor underwater, and mocks Hulk, saying he was no match for him on the surface, and the underwater happens to be his world. Watching his friends get beaten by Attuma only infuriates the Hulk further enough to let out a mighty roar and hurl a huge rock at Attuma whilst simultaneously saving the island from sinking. Attuma is thrown back onto the island, and Hulk performs his signature Hulk smash on Attuma, thereby defeating him. Hulk vs. Thor, Hulkverse 2009. Sam Liu and Frank Powers' direct-to-video animated flick features the superhero in 2 segments. One where Hulk fights against Thor, and the other where he is engaged in a battle against Wolverine. Right now, we're going to be talking about his clash with the God of Thunder. Looking back at the narrative, it is that time of year when Odin is in his yearly Odin sleep. This can only mean one thing: the forces safeguarding the realms of Asgard are literally at their weakest. Taking advantage of the situation, Loki decides to lay a trap for his stepbrother and bring upon Thor's defeat. Not only does the God of Mischief end up bringing Hulk to Asgard and setting him loose against the gods, but he also manages to separate Bruce Banner from the Beast.
I fought all my life to keep the Hulk inside. You don't know the destruction he can cause.
Okay, let's get one thing straight here. Hulk without Bruce Banner is a mindless brute, a being of sheer rage, and now imagine him being controlled by Loki. It is okay to say that you get a fair idea of what we are dealing with. Anyway, coming back to the part we have all been waiting for, Thor is seen to confront the Beast. While Thor is initially a little shocked to find him there at Asgard, he attempts to reason with the doctor inside the Beast, only to figure out that it is Loki who is talking through the Beast. Loki tells his stepbrother, via Hulk, how he has literally waited an eternity for this moment, and starts punching Thor again and again. The Thunder God is eventually able to free himself from the grasp of Hulk, and starts hitting the Beast back profusely with his Mjolnir. The battle between the duo becomes intense, and Thor strikes him so hard that he lands near the statue of Odin. Of course, Hulk grabs the statue and throws it right at Thor, but the latter goes through the statue, breaking it. Eventually, Hulk grabs Thor by his helmet, smashing him to the ground and hurls him into a temple, with Thor trying to get himself up from the rubble. He finds a roaring, leaping Hulk coming towards him and smashing him down. The Mjolnir is seen dropping on the ground as well.
No matter how hard you try, you can't win. Wanna know why?
Mega-powered Hulk vs. Red Hulk, Avengers Assemble. Directed by Tim Eldred and written by Jacob Simon, World War Hulk happens to be the 22nd episode of the 3rd season, and precisely where Hulk is seen battling Red Hulk. To those unaware of the backstory, let's get you back on track. With Leader making use of his particle-accelerating gamma bomb to transform Red Hulk into his ultimate weapon, it is up to the Avengers to prevent Red Hulk from going on a rampage, especially after Leader ends up losing control of him. Of course, the path ahead isn't that easy, because their primary task is to locate Hulk, who ends up being advised on what to do by his Bruce Banner side.
Continue with your mission.
Red Hulk is seen brutally attacking the Green Giant and taking their fight on the streets. There is no denying that the former is strong, Plus it's the fiery red body and the glowing eyes which make him look furthermore intimidating than his green counterpart. Red Hulk furiously charges at Hulk and starts hurling cars towards Hulk. With Red Hulk smashing Hulk for a split second, it actually seems like he has been able to incapacitate him, but Hulk gets up and gives it back in due course. He even goes to the extent of saying, "No matter how hard you try, you can't win." Wanna know why?
Because I've got the Avengers! Now, Tony!
Well, this is his way of signaling Iron Man to do what the duo had initially planned to, with Tony Stark attaching a device around the neck of Red Hulk. Hulk attaches a similar device around his own neck and commands Black Widow to switch on the machine that would siphon Red Hulk's gamma power into him. No wonder, Hulk emerges as a mega-powered version, bigger, stronger, way deadlier, and it goes without saying that he has never had so much power before. Bruce Banner appears and tells him to focus, especially on his voice. Hulk gets up, lets out a mighty roar and smashes the ground, with Bruce telling him that the Avengers need him to be on their side, and that it's finally time for him to be the hero Hulk. He comes back to his former self and passes out.
Hulk smash rock, Einstein. Wait.
Hulk vs. Absorbing Man, The Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes 2010. Conclusively, the highlight of Hulk vs. the World, the episode has the most epic battle taking place between the superhero and Carl Crusher Creel, aka Absorbing Man. For those of you who are unaware, the character of Absorbing Man has the power to take the form of any material simply by touching, hence the name. Coming to the context of the storyline, Bruce Banner is seen risking his own cover and approaching Creel at a diner. Introducing himself as an expert, he offers to aid Creel with his problem, and further tells him about the wicked motive of S.H.I.E.L.D. How in reality, all they are trying to do is control the gamma mutations, just so that they can create living weapons. However, the gamma villain is more interested in Banner, because he'd figured out who Bruce was the minute he'd entered, so no points for guessing what happens when he ends up enraging the Green Beast and lets him know that he escaped the cube, just so that he could take his revenge on him. Banner transforms into Hulk and lets out his signature roar. What follows next is the duo punching every other midway in the air, and on the ground too. Hulk is actually seen smacking Absorbing Man with a Las Vegas, Nevada metal signboard, but guess what happens when the latter touches the board? He ends up absorbing the properties of the metal and transforming it into one. Absorbing Man categorically proves himself as a tough guy to beat and makes full use of his powers, transforming both hands into some kind of a hammer weapon and beating the shit out of Hulk. But eventually it is his arrogance that brings him down and lets Hulk have an advantage over him. Or in other words, he first headbutts Absorbing Man, then fiercely stamps his own feet, which of course sends the latter flying, and eventually punches him violently against a rock. With Absorbing Man making the mistake of absorbing the rock and proudly proclaiming it, Hulk pummels him to dust, leaving just his head behind. Hulk beats Beta Ray Bill to near death. Planet Hulk 2010. Sam Liu's animated flick is an interesting take on the superhero, giving him a rather intriguing storyline. Well, in short, Hulk lands himself on a planet, one that's ruled by the tyrannical Red King. He finds himself enslaved as a gladiator and is coerced to fight against the other powerful beings. With that being the crux of the narrative, let's get to know a little more about the Beta Ray Bill before we dive into the ultraviolet moment of the duo. Bill, often addressed as the one-man army, is a slave gladiator also captured by the Red King. Compelled by an obedience disc to either slay or get slain, he engages in a battle against Hulk, and to be honest, the battle is brutal in every way possible. With the duo finding themselves a part of the third gladiator battle, they attack each other. Bill hits Hulk hard enough to break the latter's sword, using his Stormbreaker, and lands an endless number of blows on Hulk. He pounds the Green Beast with his hammer and forces him back. Hulk is seen getting skidded along the ground, such is the force of Bill's Stormbreaker. However, with Bill letting Hulk know that he acts by the will of others, and how the disc attached to his chest demands that one of them die in battle, he only manages to enrage Hulk further. Well, this can only point towards the ensuing violent battle between them. Matching each other blow by blow, they madly throw punches at each other. Hulk uses his bare hands, and Bill using his Stormbreaker. Post finding 4 swords laying on the ground nearby, Hulk manages to fling all of them towards Bill. While Bill is successful in knocking down 3 of the swords, one of them ends up landing on his obedience disc, eventually destroying it. But even with Hulk breaking the disc and setting Bill free from the Red King's compulsion, he continues striking Bill. Well, can you stop him when he happens to be in full rage mode? In fact, he punches him so hard that he lands on the ground, and to top things further, he leaps towards Bill and continues to thump him. His blows are strong enough to crack the ground around him. Trust us when we say it is a bloody sight, even for a cartoon. Bill's face is a complete bloody mess, and there comes a time when he actually stops moving. Honestly, had he continued pounding Bill like that, the latter would have died for sure. Pure Rage Hulk attacks Asgard, Hulkverse 2009. We have already stated this before, and we are mentioning this again. Hulk without Bruce Banner is a being of pure rage. In simple words, he cannot be controlled, and just the thought of the Green Giant wreaking havoc is bound to send chills down the spine. Also, to take things to the next level, the God of Mischief is seen to control every action of Hulk himself, just so he could defeat his stepbrother.
What you've done, with no one to rein the Hulk in, he'll tear down your entire world.
So after Loki is done separating Banner from the raging beast and has him under his control, he sets him free to do his bidding. Hulk lets out a mighty roar, one that catches the attention of Fandral, Hogun, Volstagg, as well as Balder. Looking at him from a distance, Volstagg thinks him to be another troll, and the Warriors 3 mockingly get on their horses. As the trio approach the beast, they realize it is not a troll but something else. Hulk easily manages to punch the trio aside while simultaneously attacking the rest of the guards. With Warriors 3 attempting to attack Hulk again, they fail miserably and get easily crushed. Balder watches them from a distance, but isn't able to make things out clearly. Suddenly, a battering ram comes flying towards him, and he barely manages to escape. Hulk throws a violent punch at Balder and starts ambushing the rest of the guards. It doesn't take Balder much time to realize that they aren't dealing with the troll anymore, and he ends up blowing his horn and calling for help.
Oh, I'm not dead. I'm just mad.
Hulk beat the crap out of the Red King and his army. Planet Hulk 2010. Now we all know who the Red King is. He is tyrannical. He is a sadist, and let's not disregard the sole fact that he loves to put people into his gladiator games and then make them kill each other. In case we forgot to mention, he also has these obedience discs attached to his gladiators and helps him control them. It's safe to say that he is wicked in every way possible. Anyhow, coming back to the storyline, after Kyera informs the Red King of Hulk's apparent death, he demands to see his corpse. The body of Hulk is brought in front of the king, and the latter is seen gloating over his death. As he lifts up the cloak that's covering Hulk and bends down to get a better look at him, the latter is seen opening his eyes, and by the look of it, he sure seems to be angry. Well, we all know what that means. In the very next moment, Hulk is seen grabbing the Red King by his Imperial armor and landing a heavy blow right on his face. Of course, this comes as a shock, followed by an insult, and the ruler starts fighting back using his executioner's sword. When Hulk, in a fit of rage, manages to break the sword, the Red King starts taking the advantage of his armor, firing missiles from his suit towards Hulk. With Red King throwing a fire blast at Hulk, the latter becomes mad with fury. One where he does his signature clapping followed by his smashing, of course. These are strong enough to send tremors and to shake the ground beneath. Hulk not only sends Red King under a pile of rubbles, but also has one of his armor hands ripped out. While the king is able to activate the Death's Head guards, Hulk continues fighting him. Having had enough, Red King starts fighting back and lands him back-to-back blows and kicks, but Hulk ends up ripping apart the other armor hand too. In fact, he does not stop at that. He rips apart his entire armor and goes to the extent of even crushing the king's helmet, thereby completely overpowering him. As he begs for his life, Hulk throws him in front of Kyera, who infects him with a spike bug. As for the Death's Hand's guards, they end up dousing him with fire. Hulk vs. Wolverine, Hulkverse 2009. Imagine a situation where Hulk is seen rampaging across the Canadian wilderness. Well, clearly he has to be stopped, and apparently there is just one person who is capable of doing the job, Wolverine. In case you were wondering, this was way before he joined the X-Men. Anyway, coming back to our situation here, Wolverine, who is an agent of Canada's secret government group, Department H, is called to probe deeper into the damage that they believe is the work of Hulk. Wolverine is able to track down Hulk, and what ensues is a battle of the strongest. Now that we have our basics clear, let's head to the details of the ultraviolet part and go to the part before the battle starts. Wolverine, while looking for Hulk, picks up this particular toxic scent, along with the smell of gunpowder. As he looks for the creature in the wilderness, he comes across a nervous, scared man. When he asks him if he has seen any big monster running around, the man starts moving back and tells him to stay away and to keep away from him. As Wolverine comes closer to the man, he tries to calm him down, but upon getting the same toxic scent from the man, he becomes alert and continues asking him questions, further threatening him with his claws. The man, feeling intimidated, ends up transforming into the Hulk, much to Wolverine's disbelief. As he ends up letting out a mighty roar, he sends Wolverine flying above, making him land on the edge of a cliff, and thus begins their battle. The result of Hulk smashing leads to a landslide, and Wolverine ends up falling into the river below, only to be followed by Hulk, who engages in an underwater battle too. He sends him flying back to the land. Just when it seems like Wolverine is no match to the green Goliath, he surprises Hulk by attacking him from behind. As he pierces his claws into Hulk's body, the latter lets out a painful roar, or in other words, he is angrier than before. No wonder he ends up hurling huge stones at Wolverine and incapacitates him with his smashes. Wolverine, having had enough of Hulk, charges back at him, attacking him with his claws and leaving several wounds all over his body. The match would have continued had the duo not been shot with tranquilizers from the Team X and rendered unconscious. Hulk vs. Wendigo, The Incredible Hulk 1996. Developed by UPN Studios, this animated television series spanned across 2 seasons, generating 21 interesting episodes. Now, as per the storyline of the 10th episode of the first season, titled "And the Wind Cries," Wendigo, Betty, upon hearing reports about a possible Hulk sighting in North California, decides to go there herself and look for him before her father does. Unfortunately, Betty ends up getting captured by the Wendigo, and soon it is up to Hulk and General Ross to work together to save Betty and track the creature too.
Ready if you do. Now you just let me do my job, and when we catch up to that thing, then you can do your job.
Hulk's very first run-in with the Wendigo shows how powerful the latter is. To be honest, Hulk did not stand a chance and had a huge tree hurled at him by the creature. During their second and final encounter, the duo is seen engaged in a massive fight. Even with the Wendigo hitting Hulk with the tree, the latter throws a huge stone at the creature, sending it to the edge of the cliff. The fight between them gets more intense. They start wrestling and throwing punches at each other. The heated battle continues for a while, and then both are seen falling off the cliff and disappearing underneath the rocks. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.